Shall I start? Hello. Let me extend a warm welcome to all our students of literature and a creative writing course who have come together here for our program this evening. This evening we are going to consider the play Tara, written by Mahesh Dattanis, a winner of the Sahitya Akademi Award for his playwriting gifts, for his talents as a playwright. Now, before we come to specifics about the play, we may perhaps take note of the sheer, overwhelming, real-life relevance of its theme. Before we do that, I think we could have a few words about the story, so that we get the theme better in our minds. Now, the story, as you of course know, since the play Tara is in your course, is about Siamese twins who are separated by an operation performed upon them when they are 3 months old. The operation is successful. The twins are separated. Each twin has only one leg. But that's not all that brings about the problems of the family later on. The problems rise because the stump of a leg that belongs to the girl and which is getting its blood supply from her arteries and from her veins is grafted on to the boy twin, Chandan. Now, Chandan's body rejects the leg. Tara might have retained it. Her legs would have been unequal, but that wouldn't have been so big a problem as an entire wooden leg with which she has to live for the rest of her life. Of course, Chandan has a wooden leg too, but as a boy, his position is not so hopeless as that of Tara, a girl. Now, this innate, deep-rooted bias in favor of male offspring present in our culture is the theme that has given rise to the story. We notice the sheer ease with which the family decides to seize from the girl what belongs to her and gift it to the boy. Of course, bitter arguments break out later between the mother and the father of the twins about this deed. But the fact remains that the female body is instinctively seen as an instrument, as a means for alleviating male deficiencies or abnormalities. That whatever the regret or guilt family members feel later is no more than just common human concern. That is to say, this human concern is a far less powerful force than cultural injunctions, cultural imperatives. The story for the play, in fact, could not have taken shape without this deep-seated tilt. Even if the parent or parents had let Tara keep what nature had given her, they would have felt that they had failed in their duty to the boy. Now, no such sense of duty, of special duty, it should be noted, comes into play even in their regrets later about what is being done to the girl. This timeless, beyond question nature of this attitude is proved again and again in results of surveys on gender issues which are made by organizations and which are published in the media. More than 3/4 of organ transplants are performed on and for boys, and the donors are almost invariably women or girls. The surveys say this categorically. In this play, of course, the mother does ultimately succeed in donating her kidney to the girl, Tara. But she is able to do this after such tough opposition from her husband that it only further highlights the factor of innate bias. The issue of gender bias in organ transplants that the play raises is thus current and a live issue present among us at this very time. Now we'll move away a little from the social aspect of the play and come to the aesthetics of it. One interesting question that asks itself because of the sheer weight and pressing timeliness of the theme, this question asks itself again and again throughout the play. We will ask it throughout the play, is why is this theme expressed through the medium of theatre? Wouldn't it have gone home more as a short story or as a novel? For the theme of gender bias is so inflammable and debatable that it requires full-fledged articulation. It is a topic for roundtable discussions, for seminars, for symposia. Now in theatre, this kind of full-fledged expression is not possible. Take, for instance, the incident where Tara shows her artificial limb to the audience. She laughs in an ugly way. That's what the stage directions say. Now let me quote the whole of the small interlude. This is the stage direction. The street area is lit. Tara enters street. She mimes meeting someone and smiling, starting a conversation. She's miming it. That is, she's talking in gesture language. There's no speech. She mimes meeting someone and smiling, starting a conversation. After a while, she slowly lifts the leg of her trouser to reveal her artificial limb. She laughs in an ugly way. Now, what is that piece of mime supposed to show? Obviously, that Tara is sick of the mask of normalcy, the mask of everything is all right that she's forced to wear. The mime is supposed to show that she's gripped by a savage desire to rip off the mask and fling the truth at whoever she is with. See this? She wants to ask. See this? This is what my trouser hides. How do you like it? Can you take it? Now that is a really powerful bit of emotion and feeling to be conveyed through mime. I wonder how many actresses can rise up to it. Of course, the staging of Dattanis' plays have, as the blurb of his book tells us, the staging has left audiences spellbound and the halls have been packed. We don't doubt that at all. But even so, there's too much compression gone into the mime, too much, even granting that theatre requires this kind of compression. There's too much thought packing it, thought that needs to be spoken, verbalized. The sheer immediacy and crushing everyday relevance of the theme requires black and white speaking. When I read that piece of stage direction, I had to pause. What would ugly laughter look like? I had to visualize it as best as I could to connect it to the action that follows or has gone behind, connect it with the spirit and intent of the play. Such a problem would not rise in fiction or straight prose, I feel, for these forms allow descriptive writing, and this kind of space of expansiveness is often needed for a theme of this looming quality. Let me consider one more place where I felt this problem. The parents of the twins, Patel and Bharati, these are the parents of the twins, are shown having a bitter argument about a kidney transplant for Tara. Bharati, that is the mother, wants to donate her kidney. Patel is stopping her, for a donor has been found, but Bharati is adamant. Why not? She insists, hysterical. The tests have showed that she can, that she is fit to donate her kidney. Why not? Why won't you let me do it? She asks her husband. And this is what he answers. Because, need I tell you? Because I do not want you to have the satisfaction of doing it. Because I do not want you to have the satisfaction of doing it. Now that answer had me groping in the dark. It's just too big a thing to say, too inlaid and overlaid with cultural codes, with cultural tenets, to come out fully stated in one sentence. What does Patel mean? Does he mean, as he seems to, the reduction in his status as a husband, as man, status that is traditionally rated higher than the woman's. Is this what he means? That again seems too big a thing to say, too bald, without some kind of elaboration. That Patel might be conditioned by such ideas does not seem quite impossible. He objects to Bharati making Chandan hold the skein of a knitting wool while she unwinds it, for example. "You will make a sissy of him," he shouts. Also, he is not keen on taking Tara to his office and familiarizing her with the routine there. He wants to take only Chandan, the boy. But this particular retort of Patel's that we are considering, "Because I do not want you to have the satisfaction of doing it," that particular retort has too many overtones to it, too many disturbing socio-cultural associations woven into it. It doesn't come out fully expressed in just one retort, even if it is made in level, controlled tones. That is what the stage direction says. Patel makes his retort in level, controlled tones. Now, I kept staring at that sentence. I remember after reading it, I kept saying it again and again to myself. "I do not want you to have the satisfaction of doing it." What does it mean? What does it mean? I badgered myself. I badgered the sentence. Now, the dialogue that follows that retort is not helpful in any such unraveling either. It doesn't help you find an answer to what exactly Patel means. There's one very powerful and multi-dimensional line that is spoken in it, that is spoken by Bharati. She says, after repeated refusals by Patel to allow her to donate a kidney to Tara, this is what she says: "I want to give her a part of me. I want to give her a part of me." If we connect this line to Patel's statement made a little earlier, a few lines before, "I do not want you to have the satisfaction of doing it," if we connect these two sentences, we do get some clues, right or wrong, about the gender attitudes in the family. But inferences are not enough to give Patel's statement the totality that it requires at this particular point. The obscurity of Patel's statement gets more obscure as the scene unfolds. He is insisting that Bharati should go to a psychiatrist for what he calls her unpredictable moods. "I cannot handle your moods any longer," he says. Their respective stands harden, and finally Bharati seems to comply. This is the dialogue. Bharati: "All right. You want me to be all right? Yes, I will do it." She means she agrees to go to the psychiatrist. Patel: "Good, I will call him right now." Bharati: "I will tell them everything." Tell them what? The question goes up in your mind and you look for an answer in the succeeding lines, but you don't get it. What follows is a stage direction put in parentheses. This is the stage direction. Patel goes to her and slaps her. Now that is really an inexplicable action. It seems excessive. It seems almost melodramatic. Of course, Dattani is anything but melodramatic, but at that point, this action of Patel seems totally melodramatic. Now that apart, the question of what it is that Bharati threatens to tell, which makes Patel stop her with physical violence, does not become clear at all. "If at all, they must know it will be from me, not from you." He says this. Now, it does turn out to be that way. He is the one to tell them the facts. Bharati is dead when he does so, so he has to be the one to tell the facts. But even after his disclosures, we do not see why he was objecting to Bharati telling them. If it was the kidney donation from her, as we said, she does eventually succeed in donating a kidney to Tara. Now he makes no mention of it in the disclosure to Chandan that he makes in the end. He doesn't say anything about the kidney donation by Bharati to Tara. It has to be Chandan only. His disclosure has to be to Chandan only because Tara is also dead by then. Bharati's statement at the time she makes it, "I will tell them everything," does demand some clues, some pointers. Now the question is, would this blank, this gap, have been felt in a straight prose composition such as a novel or a short story? I think not. These forms do allow more room for explanatory passages. Of course, they have to be creatively stated. In a play, on the other hand, non-verbal features are integral to the form. I think there's been enough of cribbing and fault-finding in a play that basically is gripping. But that cribbing was necessary, I think. Now let's move on to the happier aspects of the play, to the positive features of the play, Tara. These happy and positive features arise from the very medium that we have been so far terming inadequate. Now, one place where the idiom of theatre works admirably is when Tara and Patel enter the stage together. Tara's kidney transplant has taken place and she's out of the hospital. The stage directions here, they consist of some 30 words or so, contain and express the whole dimension of family relationships that in prose might well have taken a whole page or at least a long para. Here they are. These are the stage directions. You can count the words. They won't be more than 35, perhaps 37. The lights come up on the gully as Patel slowly walks in with Tara. Again, we can identify the beauty of a special bond between parent and child created by their movements, the lighting, and the music. The music is Brahms's first concerto. Brahms, as you know, is among the greats of Western classical music, and Dattani freely, with ease, with no self-consciousness, employs Western classical music in a play that is specifically Indian, even though in English. The lights come up in the lane on which Patel is slowly walking with Tara. Their movements, according to the directions, are special. They are bonding movements. Bonding movements. Now, what can such movements be? Movements that evoke special ties and intimacy. The directions do not specify them, but we can imagine them. And here, at this point, I must draw attention to the different impressions made by reading a play and seeing it enacted. A play is, of course, meant to be enacted and is obviously the best way of experiencing it. But it can also be read and experienced. The stage directions can be read as part of the text. You can read the stage directions, as we can and are doing here at this point in the play we are considering. If the directions are given in vivid and short words, as they are here, they can kindle the imagination, and we can read the play as a complete, unified product. Now, that is a very important point, and it will keep recurring in this short essay, that reading a play is as good, or no, not as good, is approximate in the depth of experience to seeing it enacted. To get back now to the point of how completely satisfying the medium of theatre is for portraying the various related aspects of the issue of organ transplants on which the story focuses. Now let's take up a dialogue between Tara and Chandan. This dialogue highlights the special relationship that develops between the twins as a fallout of their conjoined state and the give and take of organs between them. Chandan is refusing to join college unless Tara joins too. Tara does not want to join college because she may well have to stop midway or stay away for days, not knowing when or why. No, she's adamant. Patel throws up his hands. Sort it out among yourselves, he tells them, but adds firmly that Chandan has to join, has to. He has plans for him. He goes out. And the following interlude of dialogue between Tara and Chandan takes place. Please listen to this dialogue. It's very moving and very important. Chandan: poor daddy. Tara: Chandu, why? Chandan, getting up: good night. Tara: You're scared. You will find out you can't do very much on your own. Chandan, nice try. Tara, oh, you can't hide behind your jokes all the time. Face it, you're a coward. Chandan, angry. Well, I'm sorry. Not everyone has your strength, you know. Tara, you are afraid. Afraid of meeting new people. People who don't know you. Who don't know how clever you are. You are afraid they won't see beyond your... Chandan, that's not true. Tara, who do you know in this city except that silly? Chandan, who do you know? Tara, I don't. It's all the same. You, me, there's no difference. Chandan, no difference between you and me? Tara, no. Why should there be? Chandan, that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. Tara, I am scared as hell too. I wish I was back with our schoolmates. It took me years to show them how stupid they were. Chandan, so we'll start all over again in college? You will join? Tara, laughing, bastard. Chandan, vulgar girl, calling yourself names. They both laugh. They come out to the street. Tara wants to see a shooting star, for she wants to wish. Now you know the superstition about a shooting star, that when you see a shooting star and if you wish, your wish comes true. She wants to wish. There isn't any shooting star. But make your wish anyway, Chandan says. Music goes up, Western classical music again, this time Chopin's Prelude No. 2 in A minor. What would she wish for? Chandan asks. I would wish for both. I would wish for two of them. Two of the excellent artificial legs they make in Jaipur? Chandan, no, silly. Tara says, no, the real ones are what I'd wish for. Pause. Chandan, Tara? Yes. Chandan, don't cry. Pause again. I miss Mummy so much. That's Tara. Then they stand with arms interlocked while the spotlight slowly fades out. The music goes on. Now that package of music, action and dialogue is perfect theatre. The pang of the relationship between the twins, the love between them so fiercely intense that it cannot but end in tragedy, is portrayed, and the tragedy is presaged. The dialogue is the mainstay of the scene. We can hear the catch of voice and the fading away of words as the two speakers question and tease each other, fight and make up, hurt and comfort each other, and finally fall into each other's arms. It's like a pillow fight. Pillows too can hurt if hurled hard, but the hurt heals the next minute, for the weapon is a pillow after all. But let's not carry the simile of a pillow too far. The main feature of that interlude of dialogue is sound. The sound of human speech, the after-sounds of speech, the echoes and tremors of what has been spoken washing back into the ears. Meaning and significance break into the mind with the sound waves, flood the understanding, make the ache and yearning of twinhood tingle the pores of the listener. The sentences are short, often just one word, two words sounding like one. Me? Yes. Tara? Yes. Don't cry. When they are more than one word or two, they are so packed with feeling that they seem to ram into the fellow speaker's words. Oh, quite a clear sky. No moon, no. No shooting stars to make wishes on. How true. Oh, I wish there was one. Make your wish anyway. What would you wish for? Oh, I would wish for the stars. And you? There is little space between the sentences, no long pauses, perhaps no pauses at all. Each succeeding sentence seems to take off on the heels of the preceding one till the two separate and distinct personalities behind the sentences become one composite sensibility, one unified field of consciousness and awareness. Now we come back to the question that keeps getting asked in this essay again and again. The question is, couldn't that stretch of dialogue have figured as well in a novel? Quick dialogue, with words and thoughts tumbling over each other, the speakers sparring and tussling with each other, jostling for space, repartees on the tips of their tongues, all this can and do figure in straight fiction too. And good dialogue in fiction too rings in the ears. The printed words develop sound and tongue, and we feel the presence of the characters. But this factor of presence operates on a much vaster scale, operates in a more complex way in theatre. Now that seems an obvious thing to say, but the physical presence of the character has to be given appropriate and telling animation by sensitive, insightful stage directions from the playwright. He has to sketch out an idiom of the body. He has to devise a body language which has to be enacted live. And this live enactment has to enhance the spoken oral impacts of the dialogue. It has to supplement it without affecting its spirit. Now wait a minute. We must remember that in the present case we are drawing our conclusions from reading the play, not seeing it. None of us, maybe a few of the students listening to us have, but the majority of us have not seen Tara, have not seen it enacted. Where does the question of live enactment come in then? The answer is that the stage directions of the play, even when read, not seen, produce a visual effect. One of the stage directions in the stretch of dialogue, for instance, is they stand with their arms interlocked while the spot slowly fades out. Instantly, we see Tara and Chandan standing arm in arm as the lines of dialogue they have just spoken echo and play back in our ears. In another place, the one where Chandan is not wanting to go to college unless Tara goes to, the stage direction consists of just two words, getting up. We'll see it in context. Why don't you join college? Without you? Yes. And Chandan replies, getting up. Good night. It's a terse, unsmiling bidding of good night said with the momentum of getting up. The stage direction is getting up. Action and word merge into a total statement of mood, a snapshot of a moment in the current of life. This vivid image goes up on the invisible stage behind our eyes as we read that interlude. One more instance of the stage direction making the scene live for the reader. It's in the same scene. Tara and Chandan come out to the street, the lights cross-fade. The stage direction is they stop, facing the audience, spot on them. We can see them standing on the stage face to face with us. We feel the intimacy of the moment communicating itself to us from the standing figures up and out there on the stage. We are conscious of our responsive, participating selves. This intimacy is the important part of the scene at this point. The two figures are laying themselves bare to each other. They talk about their deformity. They talk about their mother. They tell each other not to cry. And we, reading it all, don't forget, we are talking about the effects of reading the play. See and hear the characters. Reading a play, complete with stage directions, is thus an experience that approximates seeing it enacted on the stage. That is an important point, and I think it is not a bad thing that it got repeated. A third instance of the perfect aptness of the medium is in the placing of Dr. Thakkar in the overall stage design and the distribution of the internal spaces of the story. Dr. Thakkar is the main artery of the play. He represents the voice of the medical pressures and persuasions behind the whole story of the unjoining of joined twins. His interpellations in the family debate on the issue were many, frequent, when the family was debating about whether or when to transplant the leg that belonged to Tara to Chandan. When these debates were taking place, Dr. Thakkar was a constant presence. He was very much a part of it. His interpellations in the family debate on the issues were many, frequent. His presence was apparently constant. This constancy has been given a dramatic concreteness by the playwright in what can only be described as a very insightful reading of the character's role. The stage direction here says it all. Dr. Thakkar is made to sit on a higher level in the multi-level set. The stage direction is he remains seated throughout the play. Although he doesn't watch the action of the play, his connection is made certain by his sheer godlike presence. I think that's very important. The phrase godlike presence is arresting. The medical realities of the story of Chandan and Tara have something destiny-ridden about them, something more powerful, more beyond human range, beyond human skills of ordering phenomena. And this immovable something is what the doctor's fixed, unmoving presence defines, making you dwell anew on the phrase godlike presence. All through the play, he's made to intercept at chosen points. He's made to narrate the medical facts of the twins' conjoined state in level, unemotional, and oracular tones. His descriptions of the ways in which the twins were joined, the risks involved in performing the surgery for their separation, the precautions the doctors undertook to make the operation successful, all this contributes towards creating inner spaces to the story, giving it width, giving it a tether and standing power. Now, we're back to the same question, to our question. Couldn't this kind of strategic placing of the doctor in the body of the story have been carried out in a novel too? We can answer our question straight away. No, the novel wouldn't have done what the drama form has. Take these lines of Dr. Thakkar, for instance. It took us a further 10 days just for planning. We couldn't afford to make any miscalculations. There would be separate teams for each twin. 2 operating tables were to be joined together. When the separation was done, tables would be pushed apart and each twin was to receive individual attention. Let us suppose that exactly those sentences spoken by a doctor in a novel written from the perspective of each character turn by turn. A speaks from his or her perspective in the first person, then B does so, then C, then D, and so on. There are novels of this kind. But even in this kind of a novel, the stirring last 3 lines of the passage quoted above, and the features mentioned there that arrest the attention, the features of 2 operating teams working simultaneously on 2 separate tables, and the tables to be pulled apart after the separation, each twin becoming an individual separate patient. Now these wouldn't get communicated with the immediacy that they should in an issue as topical and as live as organ donations and transplants. There are certain factors that are important in any effort to tell stories of organ transplants. Immediacy is one of them. And through such immediacy, the reader or the viewer is drawn into a deep and necessary gut-level engagement with the whole theme of organ transplants. It is exactly this kind of total and deep involvement, deep gut-level engagement that we feel when Dr. Thakkar describes the preparations made for carrying out the operation. When he says, 2 operation tables were to be joined together. When he says this, we see 2 tables being put together. When he says that after the operation, the tables would be pushed apart and each twin was to receive individual attention, we see the tables pushed apart. We feel a certain untensing of our nerves. We feel a certain awe mixed with respect for the whole task of surgery, for the skill and knowledge called for by it. In addition to these feelings, one very important kind of feeling is evoked by this description of Dr. Thakkar. We feel the closeness of the twins. The 2 tables being joined and then pulled apart develops into an image of the twins who also were joined and then pulled apart. We wake to the psychic bonds of Siamese twins. a poetic expression for describing extreme closeness between two individuals is two bodies and one mind. Siamese twins seem to concretize this expression. They make fancy real. Now, this awakening we experience is important because the play develops into a statement of this oneness. It moves away from the conflict-ridden area of gender biases, society, and all external realities to the strong yet fragile, doomed yet cherished love between the conjoined twins. Throughout the play, as we have noticed, there are scenes of the two comforting each other, clinging to each other for solace and shelter from the hurtful, sadistic attitudes of the world to disabled people. Here's one, for instance. Tara, the more outspoken of the twins, has just screamed her head off at the girls of the gully who come to the house for slice niggers at the handicapped twins. This is what she says: "Get lost, you ugly things. I don't want ugly people in my house, so get lost." And then the following conversation takes place between her and Chandan. Chandan: "They're not the ugly ones. We are. Horrible one-legged creatures." Tara, angry: "But you don't have to say it." Tara: "I'm sorry. You mustn't mind very much." "What?" "Being one-legged." Tara: "What makes you think I mind?" Chandan: "I feel your pain." Tara: "Yes, I do mind. I mind very much." This total and tragic oneness of the twins is the note on which the play ends. The scene shows the older Chandan, called Dan, in the throes of dramatizing the story of his life. Chandan is the surviving twin. He also will die, for Siamese twins never live long. But he's had a longer lifespan than Tara, and he's had it at the expense of Tara. He's guilt-ridden, and it is this crushing sense of guilt that he's going to highlight in the play he's going to write. And in doing this, he's going to once again deprive Tara of what is hers and appropriate it for himself. The story he's going to write is Tara's story. Without her, without the leg that she was born with and of which she was divested, there would be no story. But he's going to make it his story. He's going to make it his tragedy, his trauma, his anguish. He never does write the story. The energy for it just doesn't flow into him. He says he forgets Tara, forgets that he had a sister with whom he had shared a body in one comfortable womb, till they were forced out and separated. But somewhere, sometime, he goes on, "I look up at a shooting star and I wish that a long-forgotten person would forgive me, wherever she is, and will hug me once again." Tara walks in now. These are the stage directions. She walks in without the limp. This is total wish fulfillment, even if it isn't Dan's imagination. Not only does Tara walk in, she's free of her limp. Her limp seems gone. His limp, Chandan's limp, also seems gone. They kneel face to face. He says, "Forgive me, Tara. Forgive me for making it my tragedy." Tara embraces Dan as the music starts. They hug each other tightly. This unity and oneness of the twins, maintained all through the play, comes across vividly and forcefully at the end. It takes over completely from the issue of gender discrimination that had seemed the theme most of the time. So complete and so compelling is this changeover that the shortcomings we talked about earlier, the blurring we talked about, fade into the background. They don't matter. They just don't seem to matter. Gender bias seems a passing imbalance in human life. It doesn't seem formidable at all, however heinous, in the face of such abiding understanding between two human beings. All the negatives in the play, there's a whole load of them rising from the theme of gender bias that it starts with. All these negatives metamorphose into one grand positive statement. Tara, then, is and is not a play about gender bias. It becomes a play about gender relations, about human relations. I wonder if you agree with this. Would you? Maybe we could keep it as a question for you to find answer to. Does Tara, the play, that is, move away from gender bias? Secondly, would you agree with the other point that has been continually raised in this consideration of the play, that at times it seems written in the wrong medium, that the novel or short story form would have kept it free of the kinks it has at some places. Would you agree with this? And thirdly, just one more question. How would you perceive Bharati's act of donating her kidney to Tara? Does it really disprove the proposition of gender bias? Of course, her anguish and her agony at what has been done to Tara, and her agonized, anguish-filled attempt to make amends for it, these things come across powerfully. But don't you think it's a personal act? Bharati's giving her kidney to Tara is a personal act. It does not have the cultural imperative that the decision to graft Tara's leg to the boy has. Gender bias does get affirmed, don't you think? I'd really like to know how you feel about this. That is all, I think, and I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have, and I hope we do meet again soon.
Nice.